pensaban seguir ganando el 100% con casas de apartamentos y echar al pueblo a sufrir y seguir de modo cruel contra el pueblo conspirando para seguirlo explotando, y en eso llegó Fidel. Y se acabó la diversión, llegó el comandante y mandó a parar. Y se acabó la diversión, llegó el comandante y mandó a parar.
With the death of Comandante Fidel Castro, the people of Cuba, the international working class, the communist movement across the world, and the people who fight for a better world, who believe in a society without exploitation of man by man, lost a great and emblematic revolutionary. Fidel approached Marxism-Leninism in practice. He was a communist in actions, in practice, not words. Comandante Fidel identified himself with revolutionary practice, which is dialectically interconnected with the Marxist-Leninist revolutionary theory. Along with his comrades and the Cuban people, he accomplished a magnificent achievement, the first socialist revolution in the history of the American continent. Comrade Castro and the Cuban Revolution proved that imperialism is not undefeated, and that the only real superpower is the people who resist, the people who fight against capitalist barbarity and exploitation, the people who open the road to socialist perspective. As we saw all the previous days, various imperialists, apologists of capitalism, fascists, every kind of anti-communists tried to vilify Fidel and his legacy. However, all these anti-communists have already failed, because history, which is the only unmistakable judge, has absolved Fidel. We can say that definitely Fidel has been irreversibly and ultimately absolved by history, and the achievements of the Cuban Revolution consist a solid proof of that. Today, 57 years after the 1959 revolution, the achievements of socialist construction in public sectors of Cuba, including health, education, and housing, is much higher than in many capitalist countries in Latin America. For example, the literacy rate is almost 98%, one of the highest rates in the world. Education is also accessible to all citizens, without exceptions, while the Cuban national health system, which is free for all Cubans, is justifiably one of the best in the world. What in fact haunts the bourgeoisie is the struggle for socialism. It is the perspective of another world without exploitation of man by man. This is what they fear most. The enmity against Fidel Castro in Cuba has its source in anti-communism. They slander Cuba and Fidel exactly because Cuba and Fidel sought the alternative path to the masses. What was Cuba before 1959? It was the backyard brothel of the United States. It was a huge casino where people, the masses, were in severe poverty, and a handful of capitalists were owning the island's wealth. The 1959 Cuban Revolution not only overthrew the power of the capitalists, the power of the monopolies and the dictatorship of Fulgencio Batista, but furthermore it paved the way for very, very important achievements in numerous parts of social life. The bourgeoisie will never forgive Castro and the Cuban people for these achievements. They will never forgive that Fidel and his revolution provided free education to all Cuban children, free and high-level healthcare to all Cubans, free access to culture and sports. The bourgeoisie, the various apologists of capitalism, will never forgive Fidel for showing in practice that another world without exploitation is possible. Those who call Fidel a dictator are those who actually and actively support the real dictatorship, the dictatorship of the capital, the dictatorship of the monopolies, which repress and exploits the masses for the profits of the few. Those who call Cuba a dictatorship are those who support the murderous imperialist wars in the Middle East, those who close their eyes when thousands of children die from the bombs of the NATO alliance, of the US and the EU. Because contrary to the United States and Europe, in Cuba, the real masters of the country are the people, not the monopolies, not the large corporations and the big industrialists. Contrary to the US and Europe, contrary to the capitalist world, in Cuba, you won't see armies of homeless people in the streets. Contrary to the capitalist world, the people in Cuba are not slaves of money, and they don't live with the fear of losing their job or their home due to a bank's order. The various bourgeois commentators who use the word dictator or dictatorship in order to describe Fidel and Cuba purposely hide the fact that these words have actually a class meaning. The major question, the most important question is, which class is in power? Is it the bourgeoisie and the capital, or the working class? In capitalist countries, the so-called Western parliamentary democracy is nothing but the showcase behind which there is the dictatorship of the capital.
Sincero, de donde crece la palma. Yo soy un hombre sincero, de donde crece la palma. Y antes de morir yo quiero echar mis versos del alma. Y antes de morir yo quiero mis versos del alma. Guantanamera, Guajira, Guantanamera, Guantanamera, Guajira, Guantanamera. No me pongan en lo oscuro a morir como un traidor. No me pongan en lo oscuro a morir como un traidor. Yo soy bueno y como bueno moriré